Okay, PJ Net Live Part 2. A little late, but worth the wait. Michelle is in our green room, and the bumper's rolling, and we will switch immediately to Studio 6 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to PJ Net Live Part 2, the second half, and it gets better and better. Sorry we're a little bit late this morning, but, we have been waiting on Michelle for weeks now, so waiting 5 or 6 more minutes isn't going to make much difference. She has promised me that it will be worth the wait. Michelle, it is, for those of you who don't recognize her since the last time she was here, this is Michelle Medlock Adams.
Hey, I'm glad to be back with you guys. Happy New Year.
Michelle, I was on Facebook today, and obviously I think you're at home, but didn't I see you and Bethany getting your hair done together? Is she up there, or I figured, what?
No, we actually were getting our hair done, but we were in different cities. She's in Tampa, I'm in Indiana, and it was just funny because we were texting back and forth about some things we're working on together. We're always, got projects in the works.
You think?
She said, what are you doing right now? I'm like, I'm underneath the dryer. And she goes, I'm drying my hair. So she said, take a selfie. So I did, and then she did, and then she posted it. I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah, that was our morning. Funny. I said, we're so much alike, we even get our hair done at the same time.
Well, I was just glad to see. Yeah, she's kind of been, I don't want to say laying low. I don't think she has any speed that's anything less than full throttle. I don't know where she got that. But,
it's true.
She's been really consumed with doing her master's degree and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But now she is unshackled from that.
She is footloose and fancy free. I mean, today I told her, I'm like, you have a whole nother level of sass going on. Like,
Yeah.
She's just emerged. I'm so happy for her. She's worked so hard for the past 2 years. Even in New York, we were there doing book signings at the Book Expo America, and they were there for the Series Writer Awards banquet. And we were all out, sightseeing and doing stuff you do in New York City. And she was back in the hotel room doing her studies. I mean, she's been that diligent. I'm just so proud of her. And has a 4.0. Graduated to 4.0. I mean,
Is that all?
We put out two. I mean, not only did she do it, but she did it like with style. And then, we put out 2 books last year between the two of us. Plus, we each ghost wrote a book. And then she did another ghostwriting project. I mean, if you knew even half the stuff she'd done in 1 year, you'd make you so tired. I'm just so proud of her. And so I told her, I'm like, 2020 is our year. This is going to be amazing for you.
Well, it is a new year, and we haven't spoken to you since literally last year.
Yes.
But you've brought on some I always love it when Ashley comes on. She's very
great. Yeah.
We had a fun time, and I love her, spinning yarns and tales about cast iron and the benefits of and anyway. So in the midst of all this, now let me just go ahead and tell our audience out there, Michelle was sick last week, so that you get a pass on that. Now, the week prior to that, you were going to take a little downtime, and you went to some remote area and then realized, oh my gosh, and you're trying to go back to your old phone that works good, but that didn't
which
work.
I have now.
Yeah.
So this is my old 7 Plus, which doesn't make my face look enormous like the 10 did, right?
Yeah.
So I actually traded my daughter. We went and had it all switched over. So this is my old phone, my old new phone with the new cover. Mm-hmm. Works great. Everything comes up, but
Your headset
we didn't switch
doesn't
back headphones. I don't have headphones because in this one there's no plug-in for it. So I didn't know that till tonight. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So she'll have to give me her old headphones. So I had a blonde moment. Maybe it's because I just got my hair done. I don't know, but I didn't have the headphones. So I'm so sorry for being late.
Yeah, well, we kept the light on for you. We figured
I appreciate that.
We'd let you in. A lot of people have been talking about New Year's resolutions. We're into the new year 1 week. How many resolutions have you made, and how many are already broken?
I mean, that's the thing about New Year's resolutions. That's why they're kind of lame, is that you make them and then by, mid-January, nobody's kept them. So I thought this was funny. I saw this on Pinterest. It was talking about New Year's resolutions. It says, I don't call them New Year's resolutions as much. I prefer the term casual promises to myself that I am under no legal obligation to fulfill. I thought that's about accurate, right? Nobody really keeps them. And, I had a book come out in 2016 called Love and Care for the One and Only You. and it's got all these healthy recipes, and it's 52 weeks of devotions, and it's all about like eating right and exercising and just really just getting fit, feeling good about yourself, and starting with a new mindset. It all starts in your mind, and then in your spirit, of course. And so it's really just for the whole man. It ministers to you, spirit, soul, and body. And that's what that book was about. And I did very well, and I did it with Worthy, loved writing it. And people still will message me at the beginning of the year, hey, I'm doing your book, Love and Care for the One and Only You. And I'm like, that's so amazing. I'm so glad this still ministers to you. So I got it back out because people messaged me this week, and I was looking at it, and I thought, wow, I probably should do some more of this stuff. Like, it was pretty good when I wrote it. So I'm telling you, there are some things in there that I'm getting back on myself, because when I wrote it, I was so into it. And I'm doing a conference in the 24th and 25th of this month called It Is Well. And it's all about, just being well, spirit, soul, and body. And they're actually based on my book. So I've adopted some of those things that I used to do back when I wrote that book. You get kind of out of the habit of doing some things. I still work out all the time, but it's those things like drinking enough water, those sorts of things that you get away from. You're like, oh, I'll just have a Polar Pop. I need that caffeine boost, but you need to drink more water. So that was one of the New Year's resolutions that I adopted this year, and I've been good to hold to it so far. But we're only on day what? What day are we on? Like 8 or 9? Mm-hmm. So, that's pretty good. I've had all my water I'm supposed to have every day this year. That's 8 days. They say if you do something for 2 weeks, it becomes a habit. So maybe I can do it like 6 more days.
Well, I like to do things over the top, to excess. And I decided, like most people, after the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, I thought it'd be good to take on a diet. So what I did is doubled down, and I'm on 2 diets, and that way I get enough to eat.
I like your style. That's good. Yeah, that's right. Way to go. I like that idea. That's really good. Well, it's funny, these New Year's resolutions, there really are, when you look, I had to write an article about this, one of my blogs, and it was, when I did some research, almost everybody, I think it was like in the 90%, 94, 95% of people who make New Year's resolutions, one of those, at least one of their resolutions involves getting fit, eating healthy, something like that. And then another one is always about, improving yourself intellectually, reading more books for the year, those kinds of things. So people really do have these lofty goals, but I think the thing we have to remember is if you make these great resolutions, or whatever you call them, goals, whatever you want to call them, just not to beat yourself up if you do drop the ball on day 2 or even on day 1. Just any kind of progress is good, right? So you didn't hit the 64 ounces of water a day, but you got 32 in. Well, that's better than not getting any in. So don't beat yourself up and just think, well, I've already messed it up. I'm just going back to straight Polar Pop. I'll just, get the Mountain Dew going again. That's not the right mentality. So I think we need to give ourselves a little bit of a break. Set the goals and then work towards those goals. But it's all about progress, not perfection. So just keep reaching for those. Don't beat yourself up.
I set a goal last year. In the year, my New Year's resolution for 2019, I was able to keep, and I'm proud of it. I resolved not to travel to Sweden in 2019, and I didn't.
Look at that. That's a good one, right? I don't know what, but still, I love to have a check mark in the victory column. That's
right.
Me too.
You need a W, yeah. So
that's right. You're a coach, that W is important.
Got to have the W.
Okay. So do you ever hear about people? Like, you'll see this on Facebook a lot. People say they chose a word for the new year. Mm-hmm. Like they'll say, have you, did God give you a word for the new year? And meaning an actual word. It's been going on for a while. And I remember when I first heard about it, I'm like, well, I don't have a word. I felt so not special because I didn't have a new word for the year. Right. I'm like, Lord, how come I didn't get a word? Did you run out? Like, where's my word? And so he didn't really talk back to me about that, but I just didn't get one that year. So ever since then, I will start, in November or so, just saying, hey, Lord, if you have a word for, the next year for me, I just love to start meditating on that and looking it up and doing some study. I'm a researcher. And so I did that again last year and this year. And last year, my word was very clear. It was intentional. It was about being more intentional about choosing where I travel and what books I take on, and just so that my time isn't just, drained on things that aren't important. I tend to say yes to a lot of things because I hate to disappoint anybody. And so then I get overwhelmed, and that's not good for anybody.
And you then disappoint everybody. Yeah.
Yes, right. And then I've said so many times that you can only be great at a few things. You can be good at a lot, but only great at a couple. So that you don't want to be stretched too thin. So intentional was a good word for me last year, and it has made this year travel season much more not crazy. Like it's going to be, it's strategic, and I didn't just say yes to everything like I did the year before. So this year's word, I was like, Lord, what is my word this year? And I really feel like the word is embrace. So I was like, what does that even mean? I mean, I know kind of what it means, but I looked it up just so I would have it, so I could read it. But I thought this is an exciting word, and I know it was from God because that's not a word I use like just all the time. But the noun version of that says an act of accepting or supporting something willingly or enthusiastically. I thought, okay, I can do that. I'm a cheerleader. I'm enthusiastic. So it's accepting or supporting something willingly or enthusiastically. It makes me think there's big things coming down the pike. I'm pretty excited. So I think 2020 is the year of embracing. It's the year of embracing all these new opportunities that I believe are going to be well, they're already presenting themselves. So it's a pretty exciting year. 2020, the year of perfect vision. They're saying it's the year when doors open and you're going to see more clearly. And I'm excited about that. Aren't you excited? Do you have a word, Coach, for 2020?
Well, like you, I have seen this stuff floating around on Facebook, and at first the word that came to my mind was authenticity, but I'm not really struggling with that. Once you get to a certain age, and I assure you, I passed that a few years ago. You don't care. Your affirmation doesn't come from external. You just are who you are, and people have to accept you. And it doesn't get to you. So I've kind of thought, well, maybe that's not it. And then I thought, well, could we have a phrase instead of a word? Because if I had a phrase, I would say full throttle. Because
I like that. Yeah.
PJNet is accelerating. And I think the challenge for PJNet will not be horsepower and all that. I think it'll be traction. You can get those wheels spinning, but if they're not getting traction, you're not going to move forward. You'll just sit there and burn up the tires, which is kind of fun, do a burnout for those of you who have done that. But the biggest challenge, I think, will be getting traction, not accelerating, because we are accelerating. And by the way, I don't know, we're coming up on a year that we've been together here on PJNet Weekly. But, if you will recall, back then, it really just wasn't a big deal. But yourself and Dale Didway, early on, saw a vision that it wasn't there yet, but you believed in it and you invested yourselves in it. And between you and Dell, look at what has happened since then.
Oh my gosh!
We now have regular guests.
Exciting.
Yeah, we have regular guests at 9:30 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I call those our anchors. And then we have regular monthly guests 4 times, and we're really. JD just started with us, and he had his first program. Well, a friend of his, I hadn't told you about this. JD has his Round the Cross W logo. It's a brand. Literally, he brands his cattle, with that.
Wow.
And it's his logo. And I thought, well, let's animate that logo because I want to make a bumper. So I sent off to make these 50 animated logos. Well, a friend of his saw them because he kind of wanted some feedback. Well, his friend called today, and I spoke to him, Ken Edwards, and he will be here Monday night. Michelle, I can't begin to tell you. If I dial the clock back 2 years ago, we were begging people to come join this thing, and they just didn't. They just didn't see it. But you saw it, and I don't know what you saw, but things happened at the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference. There was something there. The people that we've engaged with and met and have been able to work with, it's just glorious. I'm just on.
It's so much fun. I love it. I love seeing what God is doing through you and with you and through this ministry and just the lively chats in the chat room. I was on the other night when Ashley was on, but I couldn't ever comment. It wouldn't let me comment. I don't know. I figured you must have blocked me. So anyway, I was like, I can't get on there. But I was listening and I was looking at all the comments. And I thought, it's almost like a big PJNet family. Everybody kind of supports and offers advice and tips and interacts. And what a cool thing to be a part of, to know people from all over the country, all over the world that are finding each other here. And I love being a part of something like that. I think it's just the beginning. There's
a cohesion, and it's the same kind of thing, by the way, that you have on the Serious Writer group on Facebook.
It's like a family.
It is those people are very engaged. I've done some experimentation. If I have 2 videos to post, I add one of them to the Serious Writer group and then compare the view counts. if you post it in that group, it takes off. It really does.
Yes.
And but it's great to have an encouraging family on board with you, because this industry is unlike other industries, the Christian writers. Because in other industries, when you go to a trade show, you're there spying on your competitors, they're spying on you. You have these kind of pleasant conversations, but that's just on very superficial, because what you're really trying to do is find out what advantage you can gain over them so that you can win. Not so with Christian writers. Not so with
no. We tell
writer.
all of our secrets. In fact, our whole thing has always been we're training up our competition. You know what? That I'm fully okay with that, because here's the thing: there's enough for everyone. God has enough to go around. He's not short on assignments. He's not short on anything. So I think that is what makes us such a rich group to be in, because we all are people of vision for this year of 2020. We're all excited about it. We're all in this together. And so it's not we're not competing against each other. We're just competing against ourselves. It's like we're all driving each other forward. We're all running our own race, staying in our own lane, but helping each other. And I love that. You don't get that in the secular world very often. I've been to a lot of the ABA conferences, and I taught at some of those, and it's not that same camaraderie. There's a little bit of it, but it's not the same. Well, so yeah, it's a very special thing what we have.
When you look at business, the ultimate purpose of business is to make a profit, to basically serve yourself. I mean, it's noble, or can be, but when you're doing God's work, when you're writing a book out of a sense of calling and out of a sense of obedience to that calling, the kingdom of God is big enough for all of us. We don't have to worry about competition. We all have, the body has many parts. And each of us have different gifts, and we're all able to just explore those gifts. But Michelle, you and Dell have just, the Serious Writer family has just taken in PJNet, and it's working pretty darn well. And we're just getting started.
Yeah, it is.
We're just getting started. We need to really accelerate.
It's a big year. That's why all these New Year's resolutions are kind of playing into this together. I think it all kind of merges, because in order to do all the things that God's calling you to do, and everybody who's in the chat room, and JD and Bethany and Kyle and Dell and Angie, all these things, we have to be the best version of ourselves. We have to be rested. We have to be hydrated. We have to be fit. We have to be these things, because the train's moving, and we either get on the train or get out of the way, because it's going full force, full throttle, like you said. And I don't want to be left behind because I'm not able. Like I want to be doing everything I can to be healthy and well, and being sick I've not been sick like that since I was like 18. And so that was a time to get a little bit of perspective on things, and I realized I gotta take a little bit better care of myself too, so that I can be really utilized this year. So I'm being a little better about not staying up till 3 and 4 in the morning like I normally do, working and getting my rest and things. But I'll tell you, this New Year resolution thing, if you don't have a word from God yet, I think it's worth spending time with Him and just asking Him, what do you have for me this year? Because I've been listening to all these different prophetic words from different ministers I respect across the nation. And I'm telling you, every single one of them are almost identical. That 2020, but the next 4 years, in fact, for those who believe, are going to be amazing years. That we've all come through some really hard times, but that we're coming out, and we're coming out on top. And that if we'll just, continue to keep our eyes on the prize and on the Lord, follow Him, listen, it's going to be an exciting year. 2020 is going to be amazing. So I think it's just, so many people had a hard 2019. People I know personally, we had some, that's the year we found out our grandson's brain tumor at the, base of his brainstem. It was a tough year for many of us on physical levels and on things in our family, but 2020, we are coming out, and we're coming out better. So just that's for somebody out there. Just be encouraged. This is our year, but that doesn't mean you just get to rest back and kick your feet up. That we're still working. We're serving God all the way. But just keep your eyes on the prize and just know that this is going to be a great year. And I think part of it is the mindset going into it, knowing that God has got this. He is still on the throne, and He is directing this. And I just think it's exciting to be alive and a part of all that He's doing.
Michelle, you find yourself in the spotlight quite a bit. You're speaking here, you're going there, you're doing this, you're doing that. And, the body does get weary. Have you ever had those times where you're gonna go on stage, like tonight or at a speaking, and you're just not up to it, but you've got to look like it. You ever find yourself just, Lord, just summon, almost like Samson in that final moment, Lord, I don't deserve it, but just give me enough strength to do this. You ever feel that way?
I mean, it's happened a couple of times. I'm usually pretty excited about getting to speak and letting God use me however. But I will say there was just recently when Bethany and I did that conference was it September or October? It was our first Platinum Faith Conference in Northern Indiana. And we had already taught twice the night before, twice that morning, and then we each had one more to do. Mm-hmm. I was spent, like, because we stayed up all night the night before because that's just who we are, working on things and stuff. And I didn't know if I had one more left in me. And I told her, she did hers in the morning, and I was going to be the one that closed it, which means kind of had to be good. Mm-hmm. Like it's the final thing they're going to hear from us. And I just felt that pressure, like I don't know if I've got anything left. Mm-hmm. And I told her that, and she said, well, the good thing is you don't have to, because God's got everything that you need. Like you don't have to. And I knew that, but like I needed to hear it. You're right. This is even on me. I just have to be the willing vessel. And it's probably the best I've ever done because it wasn't me. I don't even know what half of the things I said. I think when we start relying on ourselves to be so polished or, so great, you do everything you can to prepare, but then it really just the act of obedience because I didn't feel it. I didn't even want to do it. I was just hoping Bethany would volunteer to do the last one. She didn't. And so I went out, and it was probably one of the best services I've ever been a part of, not because I spoke, but because, man, the Spirit fell, and, we heard such good feedback from that. So God will meet you when you're the worst. I heard Kenneth Copeland say once that he was the sickest he'd ever been. When he was going to go on stage, he had like a flu hit him or some kind of virus, and he was there to preach healing. That'd be tough.
Yeah.
Go out and preach healing. But he said he went out and he said you can't. He said he sat up there and he just hanging on to the pulpit thinking he's going to just slide underneath it. And he said it was one of the best healing services I ever had. So you just got to trust God in those. Yes, there have been times when I felt like, man, I just can't do it today. But God said that's okay because I can do it through you.
I'll use this. I know we're going a little late, but I don't speak that much, but I do get on occasion. I get to speak, and one of the speeches I give. It was football practice. It was in August here in Florida, humid, over near 100 degrees.
Wow!
And we're running laps, and we're barely able to pick our feet up. One guy at the back of the pack was on his hands and knees vomiting on the sideline. I mean, we were expended. Gosh. Okay, we were totally expended. Well, what the coach would do is set those orange traffic cones on the corners of the football field, and woe be unto the whole team would get punished if anybody cut inside that cone. So what we would do is kind of pack up around the cone, and as we rounded the corner, we'd take our feet and kind of slide that cone in a little bit, as if the coach didn't know. He picks the cones up after practice. I mean, I don't know what we were thinking. But on this particular day, when someone tried to kind of use their foot to slide that cone in a little bit, it turned over, and underneath that cone was a snake. And, buddy, we flushed out of there like a covey of quail. Coach, there's a snake.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, the coach kind of meandered over there and reached down and picked up the artificial snake that who knows how long had been there and held it up. And he said...
It wasn't a real snake.
No. He said, I thought you were tired. When you saw that snake, you ran. He said, I don't think you're tired. I think what it is you're just not inspired. Folks,
well, that's good.
Oh, yeah. That was 45 years ago, and I remember it. And I actually gave that same speech at his 70th birthday party. It literally happened. And sometimes I have to reach down and remember that, because it lives within me that when you think you've got nothing left, you actually do. You're not. Are you tired?
Yeah.
Or are you just not inspired? And I think that's what, when you get in those moments, that adrenaline kick, you can summon it, and it's the Spirit that lives within us, and God puts it
That's
there
right.
for times like that. I also made a New Year's resolution of sorts today. I realized, because anytime I get the chance to speak publicly, no matter what the topic is, I always end it the same way. And I thought, PJNet Live is like a speech. So I am going to resolve And y'all hold me to this. If I forget, remind me, because it's something that I live my life by. And I want to share it with you. But I want to, before we dismiss, I wanted to give you the last word, because I'm going to take the last word after you take the last word.
Well, I'm just glad to be back. I'm glad it's 2020. I'm thankful for this show. I'm thankful that I get to be a part of this PJNet family. And for all of you who have gotten the reward for the year, go forward with it. Remember, it's about progress, not perfection. If you set some new resolutions you've already failed at, that's okay. I mean, no one's keeping track. It's just you. So, but just keep at it. I think one of the things that's helped me keep on track, even with this drinking more water thing, is I have a journal and I write everything down in this big planner here. I have like a happy planner, and I write everything down. And so, after I drink a bottle of water, I mark it off just to be able to see the progress. So, keep track that way. Write things down, do some practical things, but just give it to God. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength.
Amen. Thank you, sister. That is great. And let's try to connect next week and see if we can't get this right.
I know. I've got to find some headphones that don't have to plug in, but at least my phone works now. Yay, that's a good thing.
I bet there are some out there. You got a week to figure that out. We look forward to seeing you next week, Michelle. It's great to have you back. Right. Glad you're feeling good.
Glad to be back.
All right. Thank you. Folks, we went a little long there, but I hope thank you for your indulgence. But I am going to keep my promise, and the Lord kind of spoke to me today, because anytime I get to address an audience, I have a challenge for you, and I'm deadly serious. You don't have to answer me. You don't have to answer anybody but yourself. But I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1, what is the boldest thing you've ever done for Christ? And when you figure that out, I have another question for you. When exactly was that? And my challenge is this: never be satisfied with either answer.